My girlfriend refused to work or contribute anything while living in my apartment rent-free for 2 years. When I tried to break up with her, she threatened to destroy my life, so I had to get creative with my revenge. I'm 29 years old, and until recently, I thought I had found the love of my life. Her name was Vanessa, and she was 27 when we met at a mutual friend's birthday party 3 years ago. She was charming, funny, and had this infectious energy that drew everyone to her. We hit it off immediately and started dating within a week of meeting. The first few months were amazing. Vanessa worked as a freelance graphic designer and seemed to have her life together. She had her own apartment, paid her bills on time, and we would split expenses when we went out. She talked passionately about growing her design business and had big dreams about opening her own creative agency someday. I was working as a senior software engineer at a tech startup, and we both seemed to be on similar paths career-wise. About 6 months into our relationship, Vanessa mentioned that her lease was ending soon and her landlord was raising the rent significantly. She was stressed about finding a new place within her budget. Without thinking too much about it, I suggested she move in with me. My apartment was spacious enough for 2 people, and I figured it would be nice to live together and save money. She was thrilled and promised to split rent and utilities equally. The first month after she moved in was perfect. She transferred her share of rent on time, kept the apartment clean, and we enjoyed living together. But then things started changing slowly. In the second month, she said one of her clients hadn't paid her yet and asked if she could pay rent a week late. I said sure, no problem. That week turned into 2 weeks, then a month. When I brought it up, she got emotional and said she was going through a rough patch with work and needed my support. Being the supportive boyfriend I thought I was, I told her not to worry about it and to focus on getting her business back on track. She promised she would make it up to me once things improved. I believed her because I loved her and thought this was just a temporary setback. 3 months after moving in, Vanessa stopped taking on new design projects altogether. When I asked her about it, she said she was burned out and needed a break to figure out what she really wanted to do with her career. She spent her days sleeping until noon, watching television shows, and scrolling through social media. I would come home from work to find the apartment messy, dishes piled in the sink, and Vanessa on the couch in her pajamas. I tried to be understanding at first. Everyone goes through difficult periods, and I thought she just needed time to recharge. But weeks turned into months, and nothing changed. She stopped contributing to groceries, utilities, or any household expenses. Every time I brought up money or her finding work, she would either cry, accuse me of not loving her, or start a fight about something completely unrelated. 6 months into living together, I realized I was essentially supporting another adult completely. Vanessa would order expensive takeout on my credit card, buy clothes online, and spend money on things she wanted without any regard for our budget. When I tried to set boundaries, she told me I was being controlling and that if I really loved her, money wouldn't matter. The worst part was how she reacted whenever I suggested she should look for a job. She would say things like how dare I pressure her when she was dealing with mental health issues, or that I was being unsupportive of her journey to find herself. She made me feel guilty for even bringing it up. My friends started noticing the changes too. When we went out with them, I always had to pay for her portion because she never had money. She would order the most expensive items on the menu and multiple drinks without a second thought. One of my closest friends, Jake, pulled me aside after one of these dinners and asked me point blank why I was enabling her behavior. He said Vanessa was taking advantage of me and I needed to put my foot down. I got defensive and told him he didn't understand our relationship, but deep down, I knew he was right. A year into living together, I had paid for everything. Rent, utilities, groceries, streaming services, her phone bill, car insurance, and even her credit card debt that she racked up before moving in. When I calculated everything, I had spent over $40,000 supporting her lifestyle. Meanwhile, she contributed absolutely nothing and showed no signs of wanting to change. I tried multiple times to have serious conversations with her about our future. I suggested she could get a part-time job, do freelance work again, or even just help more around the apartment. Each time, she would manipulate the conversation to make me feel like the bad guy. She accused me of not believing in her, of trying to break her spirit, of being just like her critical parents who never supported her dreams. The breaking point came about 18 months after she moved in. I received a promotion at work that came with a significant raise. I was excited and thought this would be a good time to revisit our living situation. When I told Vanessa about my promotion, her first response was to start planning an expensive vacation to Hawaii. She didn't congratulate me or ask about my new responsibilities. She just saw more money for her to spend. That night, I sat her down and told her we needed to talk seriously about our relationship. I explained that I couldn't continue supporting her financially and that she needed to contribute or find her own place. I tried to be gentle but firm. Her reaction shocked me. She started crying hysterically, saying I was trying to kick her out because I didn't love her anymore. Then her tears turned to anger. She screamed at me, called me selfish, and accused me of using my money to control her. Over the next few days, I tried several more times to break up with her. Each attempt was met with increasingly dramatic responses. She would threaten to hurt herself if I left her. She would cry for hours and refuse to eat. She told me she had nowhere to go and that I would be responsible if anything happened to her. The emotional manipulation was intense and exhausting. When gentle approaches didn't work, I tried being more direct. I told her clearly that our relationship was over and she needed to move out within 30 days. That's when things got truly ugly. Vanessa told me that if I tried to force her out, she would tell everyone I had been abusive to her. She said she would post on social media about how I had mistreated her, and that she would go to my workplace and cause a scene. She knew where I worked and who my boss was because I had introduced her at a company event months earlier. I was stunned. The woman I had loved and supported for nearly 2 years was now threatening to destroy my reputation and career if I didn't let her continue freeloading off me. I consulted with a lawyer who told me that since she had been living in my apartment for over a year, she had established tenancy rights. Evicting her would require a formal eviction process that could take months, especially if she fought it. The lawyer also warned me that her threats about making false accusations were serious and could cause real damage even if they weren't true. I felt trapped. Going through a formal eviction would be expensive, time-consuming, and stressful. Her threats about my reputation and career were terrifying because even false accusations can ruin someone's professional life. I spent several sleepless nights trying to figure out what to do. That's when I decided I needed to get creative. I started documenting everything. I began keeping detailed records of all expenses, saving screenshots of her online shopping, and recording our conversations when she made threats. I also started subtly making changes to my lifestyle that would make living with me less comfortable for her. First, I canceled all the streaming services. When she complained, I told her I was cutting back on expenses and if she wanted Netflix or Hulu, she could pay for them herself. She was annoyed but couldn't really argue since I was the one paying for everything. Next, I stopped buying the expensive groceries she liked. I bought basic, cheap food and told her I was on a budget. If she wanted specific items, she would have to buy them herself. I also stopped giving her access to my credit cards. I changed all my passwords and told her my card had been compromised so I had to get new ones. This meant she couldn't order takeout or shop online using my money anymore. She was furious but I held firm, saying I was dealing with potential fraud issues. The apartment temperature was next. I started keeping the thermostat at uncomfortable levels, claiming I was trying to save on utility bills. Too cold in winter, too warm in summer. Small discomforts that added up. I stopped replacing household items she used like her favorite shampoo, soap, or toilet paper brands. Everything became the cheapest generic version available. Meanwhile, I reached out to her parents, whom I had met a few times. I explained the situation honestly, telling them that Vanessa had been living with me rent-free for over a year and was refusing to leave or contribute anything. I asked if they could help talk to her about moving back home or finding her own place. They were sympathetic and said they had suspected something like this was happening. They agreed to start calling her regularly and offering to help her find an apartment near them in another state.